Thank you, Justin. Hello, everyone. My name is Alondra Alvarado. I'm the president and CEO of San Diego Hunger Coalition, and I'm very, very excited to be here. And I'm going to let Anae introduce herself.
Thank you, Alondra. Hi, everyone. I'm Anae Evangelista. I'm the Community Impact Manager for the San Diego Hunger Coalition. We're super excited to have everyone here, and we're super excited to share more about what we're doing to connect families with food assistance.
Great. Thank you, Anna. Well, we're going to start. I'm going to give you some background and information about what the Hunger Coalition is and what we do. So the San Diego Hunger Coalition is a backbone organization, which means that we don't provide direct services to residents in San Diego County. We work collaboratively with 300 plus community partners to create equitable access to food assistance in San Diego County through research, education, and advocacy. And we work to eliminate barriers and ensure that every individual and family has access to 3 nutritious meals a day. The way we do it, we call it the hunger-free model, which is we do some research and data where we have developed our own methodology where we analyze and we public some information related to hunger in San Diego, to meal gaps, CalFresh, SNAP, in California it's known as CalFresh participation rates, and we have this information available by zip code, and also we have this information available by electoral district. And with the electoral district information, what we use every time, we also do collaborative advocacy. So every time that we meet with an elected official, we'll bring specific data to their district, their district, and divided in three sections. The first one is the nutrition security rate. The second part is the meal gap. That sometimes some people ask what meal gap. Well, basically it's like, since we are starting from the idea that every person should have access to 3 nutritious meals a day, that means that if that person only had access to 2 meals a day, then there's a gap of 1. That's how we calculated that. And then the other part is the CalFresh participation, where we also include to the elected official the information on how many missing dollars are in their district because of the people that qualify for CalFresh but they are not enrolled. Roughly in San Diego County, probably like 35% of the people that qualify for CalFresh, they are not participating in the program, and as you probably know, per every $1 spent in CalFresh, $1.79 is coming back to the local economy. So that's how we calculate that as well. And the third part of the third pillar of our organization is education and awareness, where we do training and technical assistance to community-based organizations and different stakeholders, which Anna is going to share a little bit more with you later. So San Diego Hunger Coalition facilitates collaboration and action between more than 200 individuals and 500 plus organizations. The number that I gave you before is just like the direct relationship that we have with them, but the 500 plus organizations includes all the community-based organizations, school districts, community college, universities, government offices, and we also have several community leaders that join and participate in our programs. So these are one of the organizations that we work closely with. And then we also, as I was mentioning to you, we provide research and data. This map is an example of what you can find on our website if you're curious or would like to learn more information about our research, or if you love data, which I'm not a huge fan of data. I mean, I like it, but it takes me a while to understand. But I know there's a lot of folks that have a lot of capacity reading numbers. So you can go to our website and learn more about the work that we are doing. This information, we release new data every 3 months or quarterly. We are right now on the process of releasing the latest data, and we are actually working on the last draft before making it available on our website.
So, and I'd love to jump in real quick on the last slide, Alondra, and maybe expand a little bit about the data map that we're sharing here. Like you mentioned earlier, one of the main pillars of our organization's work is the research and the data that we collect. regarding the populations facing food insecurity here in San Diego County. Alondra mentioned earlier, we work with a number of partners, whether they be community organizations, colleges, elected official offices, and we use this data to help them drive their work and engage in that collaborative planning. To expand a little bit about the map that we have shared on the slide here, this is just one piece of data that we collect and that we share, but our partners can use this to fuel their work and learn about the areas that they can outreach to. But to be a little more specific, we have the map that shows the nutrition insecurity rate in San Diego County. So the proportion of people who are facing nutrition insecurity, and we have it divided up by zip code. And so elected official offices, organizations can then go on to find out which areas do they have the most opportunity for outreach. You can see it's color-coded. The dark areas, the darker green, have a higher rate of nutrition insecurity. And something, that's kind of important that I just want to give an example of is the rural areas of San Diego. There's not a lot of people living in the rural areas. So at a glance, it may look like there's only a low number of people facing food insecurity there. But when we look at the rate, we find out that the actual proportion of people facing nutrition insecurity in that region is actually quite high. It's one of the highest, as you can see. Rural San Diego is that east bottom region you see there that has the darker green. And our partners can then know that they have a lot of opportunity for outreach. And, it may have been an area that they might have overlooked prior.
Great.
I'll pass it
Thank
back to you.
Thank you, Anna. And as you can see, she's leading our outreach and education team. She's better at this than me, but yes, you can see like the rural areas in your map where you can see San Diego. That's the city of San Diego. We work with the whole county, and that area, the where you can see up to the east, is considered as East County, and usually those rural areas have food deserts, and it's difficult for them to have access to fresh products and like different specific situations that they face there. And as Anna was saying, the other part is that some of the organizations that we work with, they use specific data to open, first of all, make sure that they are not duplicating efforts, and at the same time to be more strategic when they are trying to open a new food distribution point or where they are going to open a new meal delivery route. So yes, you see this information there. Thank you, Anna. And then this is where nutrition security is. We define this as when an individual has the inability to purchase 3 healthy, nutritious meals a day. And we calculate, as you can see here, I think you are going to be very familiar with this, the federal poverty guidelines. In a household of one, the 200 level, it's $30,000. But we're talking in San Diego County, like a 1-bedroom apartment, it's on average probably like 3,400. So we're calculating if one person is living, it's at the 200 level, this person's probably not even able to afford like food and rent and all of that. So this is that chart. Is there anything else that I should add on this, Pana?
Yeah, I just wanted to note, you might notice that we actually use the term nutrition insecurity when it comes to our methodology and our data collection. And like Alondra said, it is an individual's inability to purchase 3 healthy, nutritious meals a day. And we do differentiate this from just food insecurity as a term, just because, it's really important to consider populations, like children and older adults that need certain nutritional needs met for healthy development and for a healthy life. So we do differentiate and look at nutrition insecurity when it comes to our data. So, cheap foods like ramen may allow people to eat, but they may not necessarily allow people to meet their nutritional requirements. We want everyone to be able to access meals that are both filling for their stomachs and for their body and their minds. So it is really important to just differentiate. That is why we focus in on nutrition insecurity.
Thank you, Anna. The next part is that you can see a little bit more of the situation in San Diego County. San Diego County, the total population is a little bit above 3 million people, and the calculated number of the estimated people that's nutrition insecure is a little bit over 800,000, which means that 25% of the population is nutrition insecure. And I always like to highlight we are being very conservative with our numbers, because what has happened in the past is when we try to be less conservative, maybe I should say, we get some pushbacks from the county and some of the government agencies. So we are trying to find the middle ground where we are reflecting the situation in San Diego, but that also doesn't close us the doors when we are trying to advocate and have some conversations with the county staff and elected officials. So as you can see here, the number as well of children and youth that are affected is 32%. Which this number always breaks my heart, because I think we see, and especially when we talk about summer in San Diego, I mean, San Diego is beautiful. I love living here. We have beautiful summers, but it's the most hungriest season of the year because of schools are closed, and like this new program of summer ABT started this year, and that's gonna help a little bit. But this is the part where for me it's hard to see and understand, like some of us, when it's summer, we're thinking about going to the beach or going to SeaWorld, or I don't know, taking a trip or going to the zoo. But there's a lot of families that is a moment where they are more concerned about how they're going to afford food because they don't have the school meals anymore. So in that same situation with older adults, 25% of the older adults in San Diego County are nutrition insecure. One of the things that we also see in San Diego is that we have several areas that are considered like for rich people or rich areas, because they're like huge, beautiful houses close to the beach. But some of the older adults, they bought these houses like years ago when it was affordable, and right now they live in these beautiful like houses by the beach, but they cannot afford food. So this is the other part that sometimes we have to work and educate the community. Doesn't mean that just because you have a roof, you are stable. It doesn't mean that just because you have a job, you have enough money to eat. So in San Diego County, as March of 2024, 1 in 4 people are nutrition insecure, including nearly, as I already mentioned, 1 in 3 children and 1 in 4 older adults. Nutrition insecurity, I mean, this is not news to any of us. Also, disproportionately impacts communities of color. Then there's the other the other part that we calculate, as I mentioned to you earlier, the food assistance and the meal gaps and the food assistance meals by source. As you can see, still CalFresh or SNAP provides the higher number of meals in San Diego County. The 1% is for older adults, like senior serving seniors or Meals on Wheels or other organizations that work directly with older adults. 4% is weak. 15% is food distribution, and 26% is school and youth meals. So the total meals provided in the month is 27, almost 28 million of meals. And that's how we calculate. So the meals that were self-bought, and then the food assistance meals that the hunger relief sector provided, that's how we're going to calculate how many more meals we need to be able to provide everyone with the food that they need. So we're talking a little bit more about the meal gap. Despite the number of food resources available, there continues to be a meal gap in San Diego County. As I was mentioning, it's the number of meals nutrition secure families are unable to access after factoring in food relief resources. As of March of 2024, the meal gap was around 7 million meals. And here as well, you can see on our map, you can see the meal gap as March of 2024 by zip code. Again, as Anna mentioned, like sometimes when you see these areas where the meal gap is lower, it's not because there's not a lot of need right there, but probably because there's like less people living in that area. So that's why we have the two maps. We have rates and we have numbers. Depending on who we are talking with, is the numbers is the map that we present. And then I'm gonna pass to Anna. Oh yeah, so you can add a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Alondra. And I just want to remind everyone, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we'd be happy to answer. Like Alondra mentioned earlier, and as many of you are familiar with, there are so many different types of food relief, food relief resources that families can access, including WIC, school meals, food pantries and distributions, and of course, CalFresh, or known as SNAP in other states, food stamps. Alondra also mentioned earlier in the last couple slides that the majority of food insecure families in San Diego County are getting their meals from CalFresh. They're actually, every single month, have been getting over 15 million meals by utilizing CalFresh benefits. But despite this, of course, there continues to be that meal gap of about 7 million meals that Alondra mentioned. But CalFresh is actually quite heavily underutilized here in San Diego County. An estimated 65% of eligible individuals are enrolled in CalFresh. And what that means is that there are 35% who are eligible, but for whatever reason, are not enrolled. And this accounts to about 200,000 likely eligible individuals. And I do just want to note, we do consider a person likely eligible if the income is below 185% of the federal poverty level. But in California, households with income up to 200% are actually likely eligible for CalFresh. So Alondra also mentioned this earlier, but our numbers are quite conservative. And the number of eligible people who are not enrolled is likely much higher than what we are presenting today. All right, next slide. So, why is this utilization rate so low? Why are there so many people who are eligible but aren't making use of these benefits? There are a wide variety of reasons, and I'm sure we're all familiar with a good number of them. But first of all, finding these food assistance resources can be incredibly confusing, difficult, and overwhelming for many people. For many people, this is some of the toughest times of their life. It's hard to carve out time for family, for work, for personal time, and for navigating these confusing food assistance applications, knowing which resource you're eligible for, and of course, knowing where you can go to get that help. Applications, especially the SNAP CalFresh application, is quite tricky and hard to navigate, and it can be even more difficult when you account for non-native English speakers. Here in San Diego County, we have a very high number of people who English is not their first language. I believe it's about a little over 400,000 people, and the application is already quite tricky for native English speakers. There's a lack of language support. So it is very difficult to know what information you need to provide for your application to be approved. Applications and documents, of course, must be submitted online nowadays as we move to a more and more virtual world, and this can make it incredibly difficult for those who lack technological or digital literacy. And it can even make it difficult for those who can't access internet consistently, or who maybe can't access a better device, such as those maybe facing homelessness who may not have access to Wi-Fi or the internet. There is also a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of fears out there, including public charge fears. I know there are a lot of fears with new administration as well. There are fears that applying for benefits or using food benefit may affect your immigration status or your family's immigration status, which is currently not the case. It is safe to access food benefits. I'm naming all of them, but of course there's also, stigma about accessing benefits, uncertainty. Sometimes people feel that they may be taking away these benefits from some family or someone else who might need them more. And of course that's not the case. And of course, there is unfortunately an abundant lack of awareness concerning these resources. Some people may not even know about them, or even know that they're eligible in the first place. But all right, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so the utilization rate for CalFresh is also quite low due to the number of denials when people apply for CalFresh benefits. Since the end of the COVID-19 waivers in the past few years, San Diego County has seen a steady increase in the number of denials for CalFresh applications. The COVID-19 waivers made it a lot easier for people to apply for benefits and keep benefits, and since have ended, the denial rate for San Diego County as of August 2024 is at about 50.97%. So like we said earlier, the application is very tricky to navigate, it's super confusing, and so we want to be able to empower our communities by educating our partners and other organizations so they can help prevent this from happening in the first place. And I did see a question in chat. What data are you using to determine nutrition insecurity? I'm assuming you're using something other than the census tract data if your numbers are higher. Yeah, so our data is being collected by our research manager. I'm not sure if Alondra, if you'd like to speak a little bit more about the data collection.
Yeah, we are using the census. We are also using information from the county, and we also have a number of around 17 organizations that provide us their data directly. We also use some of the labor bureau. I'm sorry, this is a complicated word for me. From the information from the labor department, and then we also use some MIT living wage calculator that they have available on their website. So those are the. I hope I'm not missing anyone. But yes, those are the main sources.
All right, next slide. Thank you. Thank you for your question. All right. So in order to break down some of these barriers, our organization's ultimate goal is to, of course, empower our communities and our partner organizations in order to spread awareness and educate families about food resources. Like Alon mentioned earlier, we have over 362 partner organizations that we are directly working with. And we do host several tables to facilitate, our discussions about this data and think of solutions to these barriers to access. We have 16 CalFresh subcontractors that we are currently working with. So these are organizations in San Diego County that focus on CalFresh outreach and application assistance. Again, CalFresh is SNAP or food stamps. So they directly go out on the ground and outreach to families and help them apply for these benefits. We bring them together at a table we call the CalFresh Task Force, which we host on a bi-monthly basis. And during this meeting, we have organizations across San Diego that come together, and we go over commonly occurring application issues. We troubleshoot together, and we share and think of solutions. So if one organization is facing a problem, other organizations are likely facing the same one, and share those solutions with each other. And one really great thing about this is during this meeting, we are actually joined by the County of San Diego. Here in San Diego, they are the ones who process those CalFresh applications, so they approve and deny cases. And because they join us, they're able to provide our partners with that, with that additional insight on some of the barrier facing, and they can even help us provide support with applications as it is needed. We host a couple other tables, which we call Hunger Free Advisory Board. We have some other groups we're working with, our Hunger Free Navigators and our Hunger Free Activists, who work on advocacy for policy in order to continue empowering these communities and connect them with food assistance resources. But on the next slide here, these are actually some of the organizations that we are, specifically working with. Of course, there is a much larger number than the logos that are just on the slide, but we wanted to, just give them a shout out because these are, CalFresh subcontractors that are doing such amazing work to connect our communities with these food benefits. All right, next slide. Okay. So our role in this, our role in education and spreading awareness begins with our monthly trainings that we provide to our partners. We have a couple of different organizations and a number of different trainings that we provide, but the first major one that we have is our Hunger Free Navigator program. program, which we offer for free via Zoom in both English and Spanish. And during this training, we provide an in-depth overview over all the essential food resource programs that community members can utilize. And of course, this includes WIC, CalFresh, Sunbucks, Meals for Older Adults, food distributions and pantries, and even medically tailored meals. And during the training, we provide an overview behind, what each program is. It's eligibility basic, so who's eligible for it, what are the income limits you need to meet, are only children eligible, or older adults eligible, and then who you can connect with to access each program, which is a very, very powerful thing that we share with our trainees. It really allows people to feel empowered to connect families with these programs, lets them know where to begin, and lets you know who's likely eligible and how to best connect them. All right, next slide, please. I'm not sure if it's my end, but the slide is a little circle. It's loading. Oh, there you go. It's back. Our next training is our CalFresh one-on-one training. So this is another really major one. It is also a free training that we host monthly via Zoom. During this training, we provide a lot of in-depth information behind the CalFresh application. We mentioned earlier, and as many of you know, the SNAP application is really hard for people to navigate. The application process can be really tricky. And so we provide a complete overview of the process. We provide people the general timeline, and we connect them with those tools and how they can best provide that effective support and best advocate for their applicants. And on the next slide here, we actually have a little bit of information, some additional information that we share during this training. We provide, best practices for organizations to connect with special populations for CalFresh benefits. As some of you know, there are special populations that are subject to unique eligibility rules and subject to unique barriers when applying for CalFresh. And they can include groups like older adults, 60 years of age or older, immigrant families, college students, and individuals facing homelessness. Not everyone knows that these people are that face different eligibility rules. People may not even think about some of the barriers they may face when it comes to applying, such as how a college student has to provide documents proving their student status. Otherwise, they would get denied CalFresh. And so we cover all of that information. And on top of providing these live trainings every single month, we do also provide our trainees with access to our developed toolkits, which we regularly update. These toolkits detail all of the eligibility information during the training. We have some frequently asked questions and some other best practices for these groups. And we do have an attached image on the slide here of our college student toolkit to give you all some context and an idea of what these resources are that we're connecting our partners with. And on top of providing these resources, we do connect our partners with support when it comes to helping people sort through case issues for CalFresh. So I mentioned earlier, we do work directly with the County of San Diego to resolve any issues that may pop up when someone is applying for these benefits. All right, the next slide here. We mentioned earlier, we have the CalFresh Task Force, which is a meeting that we have that brings together community organizations across San Diego County. We have people as far south as by border and as far north as far north as San Diego County goes. So San Diego is a really big county. We have a lot of organizations that join us in these meetings. And during these meetings, we do provide a lot of important CalFresh updates alongside the county. We go over any important barriers, and we often have guest speakers that can go over relevant issues. So for example, earlier this year, we were actually able to have USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. We had their community relations team join us to talk a little about public charge, which is a major issue we're seeing here in San Diego County, as we have a lot of immigrant families who, fear applying for benefits or who may fear that benefits may affect their immigration status. We were also able to have another group join us, Elder Help, to share some resources for older adults specifically. And of course, during this meeting, we always encourage our organizations, our partners, to share their experiences so we can work to identify these commonly occurring issues and resolve these barriers to access. All right, next slide. And to continue supporting our partners outside of these trainings and outside of these meetings, we do continue to develop a number of different resources, a number of different flyers and toolkits that all of our partners can utilize, again, for free, in order to support their outreach and education efforts. Our first one that we have right here, and that we actually have a screenshot of on the slide, is our food assistance resource flyer. This resource flyer goes over and provides information about all of the different food resources available in San Diego County. Again, good number of them, WIC, CalFresh, Sunbucks, just to name a few of them that we have listed. And we provide links and numbers that people can contact if they want to get connected with these food resources. It really makes it a great one-stop shop, a great single flyer to share with the community when someone is doing outreach. And it makes it really easy for folks because they don't have to, flip to a bunch of different websites and go to a bunch of different people. All of that information is on a single flyer. And something that's super amazing is the fact that we have it available in 13 different languages. So even if English is not your first language, or if there's a different language you would prefer, we most likely have it available on our website. And this does get updated quarterly. So we do make sure we're providing the most up-to-date information. If phone numbers change, if website links change, we make sure to get all of that updated. We mentioned earlier, we also have our CalFresh toolkits for various populations. We showed the college student one earlier, but we do also have a toolkit developed for schools, whether it be elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, all of them can use it. It helps them best know how to, educate their students and their families about these food assistance resources. And lastly, a toolkit for older adults and individuals with disabilities. So we go over all of that really great information, their eligibility. We go over some misconceptions like how SSI won't affect your eligibility for CalFresh and it won't affect your benefits. We have some bilingual resources, especially because San Diego is a border town. So, we have a really high number of people who speak Spanish here. So we have our safe page on public charge, for example. And then, of course, we have ongoing communications with our newsletter. So if there's any major updates, major events going on, we keep all of our partners updated. All right. Next slide. So we wanted to give you an idea of the kind of impact we've been able to, have here in San Diego County. Over the past just in the past year, we've been able to train over 1,300 CalFresh assisters and hunger-free navigators. And again, this is just in the past year. So we've been able to, speak with, train all these people on how to best connect families with food assistance resources. In the past 3 years, our CalFresh subcontractors have been able to perform over about 100,000 CalFresh pre-screens. So they've been able to share that CalFresh information with people, screen to see if they're eligible, and actually perform about 90,000 CalFresh applications. So we've been able to connect a lot of people with food resources, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to do even more. All right. If you're interested in getting involved, we would be very happy to have you join us at these meetings. You can visit our website or follow our social media to see when we're hosting our trainings. We mentioned earlier these are provided on a monthly basis. So if one month doesn't work for you, don't worry. You can join the next month. And if you joined the training before and you want a refresher, you can feel free to do that at any time. These trainings do provide San Diego-based information, but they can still be very helpful and relevant, especially if you're located in California. But it's still very helpful even if you're located in other states, especially if you want to learn more about eligibility basics for some of these programs. And of course, we have our website available linked on here if you're interested in learning a little bit more about our data and methodology. If you want to read up on some of these resources that we shared, or read up on some of these toolkits, or see some of these flyers. All right, next slide. And I'll pass it to you, Alondra.
Thank you. And as we have been mentioning, one of the focuses that we have is to make sure that all the stakeholders are involved in the we believe that in San Diego County, hunger is a problem that it can be solved if every single stakeholder is involved. So we are trying to provide them as many resources, as many opportunities to connect as possible. So this year we're having our 6th annual State of Hunger, November 21st, from 3 to 8 Pacific time. And this state of hunger, that what we present is we bring together, we have staffers, elected officials, school districts, and food banks in different areas where we are presenting our data for the year, our issue brief, 2024 issue brief. We're going to be presenting our legislative priorities. We're going to be talking about some more specific advocacy work that we are doing in San Diego County. And we're also going to be having a panel of experts. One of them will be Anae, talking about federal funded food assistance programs. And we're also going to have the CEO of Meals on Wheels, the CEO of Meals Feeding San Diego, and then we're going to have a representative from a school district here talking about school meals. So we're highlighting the importance. We are also bringing these corporations, some of them already sponsoring us, but we are bringing corporations, banks, people so they can understand the role that they can play in solving hunger in San Diego County. After that, since it's our 50th anniversary, we're going to have a small reception. You can register for free for the virtual State of Hunger presentation. There's a link. It's on our website. Here's a QR code also where you can register. We believe that in person does have a cost, but we believe this information should be accessed, should have we should provide access to this information to anyone who's interested. So we have some people different universities here, professors that are encouraging their students to register so they can learn more about this from different backgrounds, from data to social, to caseworkers and different people that are going to be participating. So please, if you are able to join us, we invite you to be part of this hunger state of hunger. And then here's our information. That's my my website. I wish, right? My email address, and that's Ana's email address, my LinkedIn as well. So if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat. I think we have a little bit 4 minutes. A little bit about 4 minutes, or you please feel free to send us an email to connect with us through LinkedIn. We are happy to share any more additional information that you might need.